Welcome back.
We did have a couple of super chats come in, so I figure we should probably knock these off before they go on for too long. We have Devon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats. He says that Hield starts easily, and he wants 15 to 20 minutes out of Ricky Council and Turk.
15, 20 each or combined? Because I think combined,
he doesn't say, but
combined Devon is more like it. But tonight they did play well in their short stint. Hey, Turk came out there early.
Ricky hit a pull-up J right off the bat. I didn't know he had that.
You weren't here yet because you were coming from the arena. Bree wasn't here yet. You know I said, go get him, Rick. I was like, oh.
I almost tweeted that out from our shared account in Devon's voice.
Yes, go get him, Rick. And then he knocked down 2 free throws. In the beginning of the season, when he got to the free throw line, it was an adventure. Now he's been getting fouled when he's in there in crunch time. I mean, in garbage time, he's just stepping up to the free throw line, knocking these things down. I was like, oh, Rick is fighting for his minutes, boy.
When Kyle comes on, you can ask him. There was a get him, Rick, on press row. Absolutely.
I'll ask Kyle when he comes on later on. But no, they did play some decent minutes. Buddy Hield, certainly that 15 to 20. He's going to get that as a starter right now. And even when Maxey comes back and you have some campaign minutes coming off the bench, Buddy Hield's going to play 30 minutes a night for the time being that he plays. So you're going to get that, Devon, and he's going to get some shots off. He's going to get his money's worth during his time out there on the floor. So good minutes from Turk and Ricky Council. The fourth tonight. We'll see if they also have to play tomorrow because they'll be shorthanded against Washington. And I'll be ready for it. Go get him, Rick, if he comes in and plays that way again.
I just look. He had an open three. He took it.
No hesitation either.
All I want to see.
Yeah, Turk early though. Again, first pass. It was like a pick and roll with Tobias, and Tobias flared out, and he threw that right to the seat. So it was a bad pass. I thought he was nervous right away because he was being defended by Forrest as he was bringing the ball up, and he already had his back turned pretty quickly as Forrest put some pressure on him, and he made that pass. But after that, he settled down, had a nice steal at the end of the second quarter for a dunk after making 2 3-pointers before that. And then on the other end, with about 6 seconds left, somehow Trae Young got open because there was a miscommunication between Turk and I believe it was Kelly Oubre. They double teamed someone else. Trae Young wide open, knocks down a 3 at the end of the second quarter. But all in all, decent minutes from those 2 young players.
I do think probably Buddy ends up coming off the bench if this full squad ever gets healthy.
Yeah, for sure. I just meant in the
But I mean, like long term, because I think that's maybe where his question was
because Melton's going to start. His defense is still there.
Yeah, especially. And look, you're not going to take Harris or Batum out because you want their size. You need some, like having a Maxey, Melton, Buddy starting lineup is too short, too defensively challenged. So I think it only comes down to Melton or Buddy. I think they're going to bring Buddy off the bench, but we'll see. We'll see. You could always surprise us.
Okay. Couple more super chats.
Yep. Bernard McCoy. Need to realize that good NBA players need magnets like Buddy. Please stop trashing Maxey. Hard playing with non-shooters, even for Embiid. Agree 100%. I think our last couple shows have reflected that. I think we've spoken a lot about how there's no gravity, about how there's really nobody to alleviate any kind of pressure on Maxey. When other teams trap him, there's no one that you worry about beating him. I think we've beaten that pretty hard here over the last week or two. Bernard is probably mentioning that a lot for the chat and the commenters, but I think we are 100% on board. I think it's real easy. I've said it pretty much after every post game that Maxey's played here since Embiid went down, that this group is uniquely ill-prepared to try to ramp up Maxey in a primary creator role. Buddy will help, but he's not going to solve everything. Yeah,
and when we have talked about Maxey needing to, we talked about his maturity, but when we've talked about him in these games where he struggled, we've simply discussed the fact that he's seen some different coverages, some different looks overall, and the fact that the length has bothered him sometime in these games. It's not to take away from the player that we think he is. It's just simply saying that there are still some things, even with the mature player that he has become, there are still some levels of maturity that he can find as a primary number one because Embiid is out, and still learning on the job as good as he has been this season as a point guard. So for the people who do bash Maxey, maybe Bernard's talking more to them than he is talking to us.
Yep.
But I understand and agree completely with you about having that type of help with him out there on the floor now. By the way, Barb says, every time we do those Bagels & Co. commercials, makes her hungry. Barb, find the nearest location to you and go get some of those bagels and Co. Bagels with some cream cheese and whatever you like for your bagels. All right, another super chat. Let's go. What up, Al? Is it time to start worrying about Melton?
Yes.
Al, it's been time to worry about Melton.
Look, the moment you hear back, I get worried. Especially now as I'm aging into, we don't need to talk about it. I hear back, I get concerned. You hear that this is a back problem, back soreness, discomfort that was causing him discomfort last year, and now it's back. 100% I'm worried. And then you add in how long he's been out, how much there was an initial attempt to try to get it under control back in, was it December when he started missing games?
Yes.
Came back, had to take more time off. When he first started taking more time off the second time, it was like it might be a couple game thing. The next thing you know, he's out for a month. Yeah, no, I'm concerned.
So let me ask you this, because it coincides with it. Trading Jaden Springer, knowing that you're dealing with a back injury, why do it? Especially if Ricky Council is not ready for those types of minutes, and you may not go deeper into your bench unless it's Kelly Oubre that's going to step in there and start, et cetera. Why do that to at least not have that in your back pocket in the event that you need those type of defensive minutes just to pressure, because he's not going to start, but you could still call his number to come in and be that defensive guy to hound, pressure, whoever it is that he's guarding?
I mean, the easiest explanation is they just don't believe in Jaden Springer offensively at all. They don't trust him. They don't believe in him. They don't think he will get to where he needs to get in the next year or two. And they just, like Nick Nurse isn't going to play him.
I'm saying that to say they know what Melton's back injury is.
Sure.
How bad it is. But they still made that deal to get a second-round pick and feel like we're good enough, we're okay still sending him where we sent him, and also knowing whatever it is that's keeping him with his back, Melton, off the floor to make that move.
Look, I think they made the move.
And Daniel House Jr.
Yeah, I think they made the move for a number of reasons. And that doesn't mean I agree with it. In fact, I don't. Yes. First, I think they want the second-round pick, which, it's coming from Chicago in this year's draft. So that's going to be, early 40s-ish, early like 41 to 45, somewhere in that range. Not a great pick. I don't think Daryl Morey has any real interest in making a selection with that pick. In fact, he spoke earlier today before the game. There was a press conference that he held where he talked about they think that they can use that pick to get a contribution in an earlier time frame, and I'm paraphrasing here, than they would have gotten a contribution from Jaden Springer in the playoffs. And he doesn't mean selecting a player and developing. He means trading that pick. They think they can use that to trade for a veteran, somebody who can help in an earlier time frame than Jaden Springer would have helped in the playoffs. I think there's a little bit of truth to that. I don't think that's the full story, though. I think they also want to create cap space next summer. That's $4 million off of the books. And I think they also want to create space under the luxury tax. That's another $2 million in luxury tax space or space under the luxury tax line. I don't think Josh Harris wants to go into the tax. So they currently have 3 open roster spots. You probably see them try to sign 2 buyout players. If you don't trade Jaden Springer, you might only be able to sign 1 buyout player, and they probably think they get somebody on the buyout market they trust in the playoffs more than Jaden Springer. And again, I don't necessarily like any of this philosophy, because at some point, especially in a salary capped league, you have to develop your young players and keep them around on cost-controlled deals. We're looking at it with Isaiah Joe. You're paying $18 million and 3 second-round draft picks to get Buddy Hield because you gave up on Isaiah Joe too early. Do I worry a little bit that they're doing the same thing here with a very young 21-year-old Jaden Springer, who right now could be I don't know, certainly a top 10 perimeter defender? I think he has that kind of upside right now as a man-to-man defender on the perimeter. Yeah, I worry about that. Okay. I worry that they get a little bit too short-sighted with some of these young guys and say, look, if my coach isn't going to play him, then I'm going to trade him, create some flexibility on their luxury tax so we can go out and get another buyout guy and a second-round pick we can trade for another veteran. Yeah, I don't necessarily love that philosophy, but I think that's where they're at.
Okay. All right. And if it's Kyle Lowry and we are going to watch Melton deal with his back injury all season long, I'm just jumping and projecting out right now. I want to ask this question because who is your second backcourt starter with Tyrese Maxey in the event? Because we talk about Melton with his defense and all. Is it simply Kyle Lowry? And then Cam Payne becomes your primary backup off the bench. Still, 10, 15 minutes. Buddy Hield coming off the bench, Kelly Oubre. Those are your guards and wings right there.
Yeah.
Is it Kyle? This is all hypothetical, folks, so we're just messing around here because the back issue, as you just said, it's really serious. dating back to last season. He's missing games right now and has missed a number of games. And they said that he may come back after the All-Star break, not even before the All-Star break. So I'm just saying that. Is there a possibility that that's what the backcourt looks like if Melton cannot go?
Yeah, I don't know.
Lowry and Maxey
together. As
the starter.
I think they would probably start Buddy in that instance, but it's not. None of the options are great. Like, you just don't have a defensive option to really throw in there. Like, everyone, and Lowry used to be a good defender, but at this point at 37, laterally I don't have faith in him.
But you know he will get the effort.
Sure, effort.
He knows the angles.
Sure, and
all of the Batum stuff.
Sure, but having two Batums on there can get problem. Like, you need somebody who can physically keep up with the other. You know.
Right.
Yeah, their options aren't great.
Right. So, and we don't know who the other guys who are going to be cut and waived and are guards and wings with some bigger body frames, body types that the Sixers might target. Just because of the Lowry thing that we've talked about so much, I wanted to throw that question in there.
We all silly like the mayor.